Uh, yeah, initially, as you indicated, I think finance in the transformation space, good on paper, successful, looking good. The money was good, but then there was something missing. I think for me, I think they say change happens two ways. It could be through desperation or inspiration. For me, it was desperation. On paper, yes, my career was looking great, but my energy was tanking. Right, living on caffeine and takeout, relationships pretty much an autopilot. Right.
All-nighters, pulling all-nighters.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh
And to
gosh, I do not
yeah,
miss those days. No.
exactly. And to be honest, Nicolette, I was scared. I think for me, I was scared because I've got health conditions that run in my family. And at the rate that I was going, things are not
Oh my
looking
god,
good.
yeah. Welcome to your Wordless Podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nierras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now let's dive in. Are you stuck in a job that you don't love, feeling like you're meant for more? It is not in your head, it is in your soul. I am Nierras, and I help high achievers like you break free from burnout, rewire self-doubt, and build a life aligned with purpose through coaching, hypnotherapy, and soul activation. Because let's face it, real wealth isn't just about money, it is about a aligned and happy heart, mind, and soul. Now, remember, you are worthy and you are enough. Let's transform your life together. Visit www.thenierrasholisticlifestyle.com to begin. All right, let's start this off with sharing with us what was it like growing up as a Richie Nkana?
Wow, growing up, that's interesting one. I think growing up is always a bit of I think looking back, it's hindsight is always like it's always 2020, right? But
Mm.
I think growing up, I think one of the biggest challenges I had was trying to figure out exactly what it is I want to do eventually. It's having that clarity. Initially, that's the reason I think I went into finance to start off with. I thought that was my passion, right? I think, but we all go
That's
things
where the
through that
money,
phase.
where the money was.
Absolutely.
At least we thought, right? Is it ACCA?
I did SEMA.
I did ACCA.
I did SEMA. I
Okay.
love the strategy aspect of it. I think that has actually continued on to that. And I'm
Yes.
actually I really love what I picked out from that because
Mm.
there's a lot of strategy stuff that I had to pick up from that, which I still have been applying, I think, in my business and just in my personal life as well, which has
Mm.
been awesome. Yeah, so it was
Well,
a bit, yeah. So to back to your question, I think it was more like by growing up and trying to figure out exactly what you do, and it's all about living in that moment. But I think it's always good now looking back, like what would I say to my 16-year-old, 21-year-old self? Of course, I think there'll be plenty of things that I would do maybe very differently in the case of advice at 21-year-old. Yeah, so that's a different story though.
that's another episode of its own.
Absolutely.
Okay. So tell me then your backstory. So what did you do? Why did you choose accounting? And what made you take that leap to what you're doing now?
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I think for accounting, I think for me, I had an uncle and he was in finance. He was a CPA, he was a chartered accountant, and obviously made good money. And I didn't want to I didn't want to go direction of like sciences or anything of that sort. And to be honest, I think the motivation I had at that moment in time was money.
Yeah. We all
And
did.
yeah, absolutely. And but then it kind of drifted because when I go into finance world, I found accounting, traditional accounting, quite boring. P&L is a P&L, balance sheet is a balance sheet. And I love fixing stuff. I think it's all about being able to identify exactly what it is your strength and what you actually enjoy doing. If you can find that correlation, I think that's a perfect sort of like sweet spot. And for me, I was quick enough to identify that I loved whatever work I was doing, even in the accounting space. I loved fixing stuff. I loved making things better. And I was privileged, I think, to have worked with very good mentors
Mm.
And being able to identify exactly what things I was good at, I sort of like drifted more towards project space, more in the finance space. So I specialized pretty quick in that area, streamlining processes. And that's how I sort of like evolved from traditional accounting to transformations and just streamlining processes. And eventually going into the banking regulation space, having that as my expertise. Yeah, so it's sort of like it was an evolving kind of situation. I just was not really settled. I'm not one person who would loves routine of doing the same stuff over and over again. I like
Mm.
fixing stuff and always having. I think it's all about growth because being challenged, and with the project space, and that's what I've loved. I think with what I've been doing over the years is you never know exactly what you're going to face the next day, and you have to keep on navigating. You might have a roadmap of this is what we want to implement. This is how we're gonna. You draw it up, all nice and pretty. Then you get smacked in the face the following day. So you have to navigate and actually try and fix that. So I think that's the beauty. That's what I love about it. I think some people don't like that. Some people love predictability and having a routine that they know what they're gonna do from first day of the month to the end of the month. That was just not me.
No, X, no. So, so okay, I could see, I could resonate on so many levels there. Number one, I thought that because, well, at first I wanted to become a pilot,
Yeah.
but that required a lot of money. Cardiologist, that one required me, being stuck in school for at least 10 years to 15 years to just to specialize to really get the big bucks. And it dawned upon me and said, okay, what's the fastest professional papers that I could get my hands on and earn the most money and everybody would need it. So that's why I ended up doing accounting. And I think because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth, right? It took me still on this journey of because I used to tie my self-worth into the money, the achievements. The goal was to go to the sea, climb up the corporate ladder, and become a partner at least. That's all. Yeah. I mean, the everybody who studied professional papers must, or at least, have one of the big fours as their, one of the career that they want to be in. So I never thought about it, but somehow I landed, and that's when I started experiencing the growth spurt in terms of my what I love to do, but then it also took a toll on my mental health. So that's why I started doing this. So now this is going just nicely into my next question because you're doing something that you really love and you are combining it with the strength and the expertise that you got from the years of you being in transformation industry. What is that? What are you doing right now, so to speak? Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Again, that's been a journey. Yeah, initially, as you indicated, I think finance in the transformation space, good on paper, successful, looking good. The money was good, but then there was something missing. I think for me, I think they say change happens two ways. It could be through desperation or inspiration. For me, it was desperation. On paper, yes, my career was looking great, but my energy was tanking. Right, living on caffeine and takeout, relationships pretty much an autopilot,
All,
right?
all-nighters, pulling
Oh,
all-nighters.
absolutely,
Eh,
absolutely,
oh
and to
gosh, I do not
yeah,
miss those days. No.
exactly, and to be honest, Nicolette, I was scared. I think for me, I was scared because I've got health conditions that run in my family, and at the rate that I was
Oh.
going, things are not
Oh my
looking
god,
good.
yeah. Hi, I'm Nierras, your host of the Your Worthless podcast. Now, if these real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
Yeah,
We're gonna drop that at any time.
absolutely. So it was time for me to make that shift.
Mm.
And that shift was never really for me to teach or coach in any way. It was to fix me. So and it was like going back to drawing board, and the solutions I found in the marketplace at that moment in time were not just right for me because, yes, I did reach out as we should or reach out for help. I reached out to personal trainers at that time, but the solutions they were giving me were just no right for me. It meant me working around their time as
Mm,
opposed to my time. And I had a very short window in the day for me to actually
right.
do that.
Yeah.
And so I did the next best thing, which was go back to the drawing board and look for solutions myself. And that's how I ended up studying that stuff, like being PT, metabolic conditioning. And it was never again to teach, but then it's how is it I can extract those lessons. But I enjoyed this stuff so much. So I went deep into that and ended up getting certified in those areas. And that's what came out of that solution that I've actually applied to myself. But then it was so funny because then colleagues, family, friends started noticing the shift and started asking me, "Oh, Richie, how did you achieve that?" It's like, "Oh, I'm actually working out only 3 times a week, 20 minutes at a time." Goes, "No way. Can you show me how to do it?" So it's sort of like a very organic. And the challenge was I had a very demanding job as well at the same time. How is it
Mm,
that I can help other people? It was like, so I reached out to business coach and goes like, "Oh, have you thought about doing maybe an online kind of thing, like creating an app where you can actually coach? It's tailored, but you don't have to be on the gym floor." Then that's how the book came up as well, how I can reach more people and it's sort of like communicating that you don't need hours in the gym to be able to extract the benefits of fitness. Yeah, so that was more on the fitness side and
mhm.
sort of like evolved and started helping people. And since then, I've helped like hundreds of people get into best shape and feel great. But what was so interesting was fitness was just one dimensional. What's what I found. Because I indicated earlier is, you know, I was talking to business leaders not very long ago and we're talking about, right, in business, we talk about growth, we talk about performance, we talk about result,
Mindset.
absolutely talk about profits.
Yep.
But if you, the operator behind the business, were a business, would you be trading at a profit or a loss? Right? That's a very good question. And for me, I said, like, if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have said I would be trading at a massive loss. Right? So what
We're
changed?
a liability to ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's more about those shifts, and now that's how operators they just come into play because fitness is just one dimensional. I've coached like leaders from say Fortune 500 on paper they seem to be successful, but you look at yes, they're coming to me maybe for health, but looking at relationships again, they're present at home, but not they're physically present, but not really present.
Mm,
Right. They have systems for their business, but not personal systems to manage themselves. So they're actually burning out, they're actually sacrificing. So my question was, how is it that you can create a full spectrum, right? As opposed to one dimensional success, because that's something I face myself. How is it you can win in actually talking about your health and energy? Because energy drives what? Execution. How is it that you can thrive in scaling because and have your own personal systems because systems what? Drive scale and relationships. How is it you can fuel relationships because relationships pretty much fuel everything. And that's how Operator's Edge came
that's
about.
right.
So Operator's Edge is all about how is it you can level up in those areas. So it's talking about health, wealth, and relationships pretty much. And that is my focus right now is how you can level up, right? I work with lead performers, right? So you can actually level up, right? Scale without sacrifice.
Hmm.
And it's all about upgrading the operator behind the business.
Okay. Case study. An example right now. How do we tweak each one of those areas? The
How to
cogs in
tweak.
the big.
Right, absolutely. That's a very good question. Like in Operator's Edge, we got like four key pillars.
All
The
right.
first one is what we call the operator. So the operator is more about the energy. So we look at all the
Okay.
strategies, our playbooks, and how is it that you can level up your energy so you show up at your best, right?
Hmm.
Had clients where like, yes, they're doing great on paper, crashing revenue, but by 2 p.m. they're spent as far as the energy levels. they're pretty much living on caffeine and Red Bull for them to actually sort of like see off the rest of the day. So
Mm,
that you can actually eliminate that,
mm,
right? So that is the first part. So the operator is all about energy because energy drives execution. Then the next part is all about how is it that you can actually have clarity of vision? What is it you want to achieve? For the most part, most high performers are not clear on what is the vision they want to have. Clarity. I had one founder I was working with, great, doing great on paper, but she based her vision and what she wants to achieve based on her dad's outlook or those extrinsic kind of views or what bar the dad actually set. And the sad bit is
mm,
the father passed on like 10 years earlier, but she was still stuck in that area. So how do we shift that? By giving that clarity. Talk about an architect. An architect does not just go about and build a building. They pretty much picture it. They have it in their mind as to what they want to achieve. Then you go executing. So that is something we work on as well. So we got the tools to actually create that vision so you're clear on the path you're going because you cannot build if you don't know exactly where you're going, right? Then the next part we work on is what we call the builder. Now, these are now the systems, personal systems and how you operate. Like in the case of like blocks, look at work around your energy blocks because then you bring the vision and the energy part together to actually now building because you cannot be clear on what you want to build before you have that clear vision. And you need the energy to actually now start building. So these are more like in the case of now the systems that you need for you to be able to excel in whatever it is that you're trying to do. This is more around as opposed to not have. It's not about just time management because people look at time. It's not time management. It goes way beyond that. It's about how do you have those personal systems so you can scale without sacrifice, right? Sacrificing your health, sacrificing your relationships, right? Sacrificing your energy, right? So this builder. Then the last bit is what we call the leader. The leader is now all about relationships. Relationships is when you walk in a room, right? You bring that energy. And when you leave that room, how is it you can leave that energy that lingers way past when you actually leave that room? And these are relationships that you build at home, in business, right? Everything that feeds into how we show up in our business, right? So relationships is something that is not spoken of enough. So that's how we do it. So those are the kind of four key pillars that we work on in the mastermind level up to ensure that, you are operating, you are the operator, not just the
mm.
hyper, but operator and winning, in a full spectrum in all the key areas that are needed for full spectrum success.
Thank you for that very thorough breakdown. Now, me being curious, because I like to dive into, I wanted to zoom into the builders part. Systems, right? You can never scale without systems. This is one of the main rules to scale. So take an example, a persona. Can you share with us I know there's no one size fits all, but a person who wants to probably reach 10 million revenues, but they're tanking in their relationships. So how would that look like in the four areas? Not just the system. No, it's just in the four areas.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's a good one. So, like in my case, like I've got playbooks, and some of the content we actually show. Instead of days, like say on a Wednesday, on a Saturday, have a replay, play back the day. How did I do today in all those kind of three areas? Because the problem we don't have normally is reflection. If you don't reflect,
That's
you
a
don't
good
get
one.
that feedback. So
Yeah.
reflection is actually key. Look, playing back the tapes for the day, how did I do today as far as how did my energy go? And if you felt like you were tanking, say at 2 p.m., what did I do today? What did I do wrong? Because the times the day starts the night before. So you might find that maybe right. Okay, my sleep was not that great last night. How was my water intake? So there's a lot of those key areas. We go into the detail of the things that actually drive the energy. Then we go, that is just on the energy part of it, right? For instance, how was my water intake today? How was my sleep? how my nutrition, what did I eat that could have actually tanked my energy levels to get to that level, right? So those are
Mm.
kind of systems that we install. Again, those are like playbooks. You look back in the case of like you log it, then you can tell exactly where things would have actually gone to miss, right? The vision comes in because you're pretty much clear of actually what you want to achieve on the day as well. Because for operators, is like we plan the day. We know exactly how is it. What are the key needle movers? People just go on and just do stuff. We don't do to-do lists. We do needle movers, right? How is it that you can? These are the kind of key things that I
I
need to
like
do
those
today.
buzzwords.
Absolutely. To move a day and be able to actually nail it, right? As an operator. So it's all about changing the identity. It's identity shift. That's the thing about it. This is more of a philosophy. It's about changing your identity. So you embrace it as an operator. So we talk about energy. We talked about you have to have that clear vision. Yes, systems is all part of what we just talked about right now. So relationship, you play back the tape. What did I show up today? Did the relationships, it could be, was I feeding positive energy? How was I present? So if it's, say, for parents, did I make an intentional, right, deliberate effort to actually talk to my kids today? Find out exactly what they're doing. Was I present? Just not me being present physically, but was I really present, actually talk to them? In the case of my partner, was I really present with my partner and actually get to actually speak to them? In the case of being in the boardroom or at work, right? Did I give my reports the support that they needed, right? And that's the one I look at as well. I play back as a leader. It's like, if I was managing me, would I want to manage me, so to speak, right?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a very
Because at times we almost
good
like have to
reflection.
step back because it's hard at times to see the picture when you're in the frame. But if you
Yes.
step out a little bit, if I was my manager, if I was a leader, would I want to manage me today? So reflection is a key perspective, and looking back, and you keep on tweaking. Yes, you can never be perfect, but it's all about realization and playing back those tapes and looking where is it that I can keep on doing it. Just to give you a bit of a background, actually, some of the playbooks I share in Operator's Edge were the playbooks I wrote for myself because I'm looking at ways in which I can upgrade in all these kind of key areas. But those have now evolved into what I share with my clients and everybody that need them, because I noticed that I was not the only one who was struggling with that. But those playbooks, it's not like I just write them once and that's it.
Mm.
Something I always refer back to, like when I look at that review, I play back the tapes, or end of the week, I have a review of the week. Where is it that I did not score? Look, my scorecard is not as great as it should be. I'll go back to those playbooks. They're quite concise, you know, but then I was like, right, okay, I can level up. Let's look at how I can invest in lessons from this week into next week and how I can actually make it better.
Mm. Talk about consistency and determination. You got to be consistent, right? You got to be accountable and you got to be able to lead yourself. If you're, especially if you're signed up with a coach, because um I don't know about you, but I think you might know. So before, I never really bought the idea of having a coach. Never. Now I'm a coach myself, and I can see why it is so important to have one. It doesn't only change one aspect of your life, but it changes everything because it forces you to reflect where you are slacking, and it will have that spillover effect on the other parts of your areas of your life. So thank you for that, Richie. I really appreciate you breaking it down for us. Now, there is the projects of yours, body and bank connection. What is that?
Yeah, that's about it. Putting back connection is actually my book. But just going back to actually what you just said, just sort of like about a coach, because that is
Yeah.
very, very important. Just pointed out. I've got
Yeah, yeah.
coaches in everything as well, right?
Right.
Because
Exactly. A coach
it's
needs a
you know,
coach.
we all need
Coaches.
coaches. Like, yeah,
Yes.
even with my fitness, what I do
Mm-hmm.
is, with my fitness, even though I'm a certified PT, what I do at times is so easy when you put your own programs together. You'd always go for you won't push yourself to the limit. So what I
Okay.
do is I collaborate with a friend of mine who's also a PT. So we write each other's programs. That
Nice.
way, it's so challenged, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we write each other's programs so that way we want his accountability as well. So the way I look at the coach, it's not so much about maybe at times being something new. You mentioned accountability, and we're
Mm.
going to go back to body and band connection because I covered that in the book as well. There's a study that showed that when you're accountable to somebody, you got a 95% chance of achieving that goal. So with a coach, as opposed to, I look at it more as we all given a bunch of keys when it comes to in this life, right? We're all given a bunch of keys to open this door to these new horizons or that purpose we want to get to.
Mm.
Funny bit of what's so interesting is because it's not actually interesting, but it can be quite fidgety trying to find that right key to open that door, right? Because you're trying to figure it out. You have to go through those keys and try and find that key.
Mm.
Coach does is point you to the right key so you can open that door quicker and open those horizons. Because guess what? They have gone through a lot more stuff. They've seen more stuff, so they're likely going to bring about those efficiencies as opposed to you trying to recreate the wheel to just point you the right direction.
Mm.
Now back to your question about body and bank connection. Yeah, body and bank connection came about. I come from a banking background. I remember,
Oh, okay. I didn't
yeah,
put that together.
yeah,
Okay, yes.
but
I see that
but
now.
there's more to it. I was speaking once to bankers. There was lunch and learn as I was speaking, and we were talking about. I was asked to talk about fitness because they knew I had that fitness background as well, and the importance of fitness. So the question I posed to my fellow bankers was, "What are your thoughts when it comes to fitness?" They go like, "Right, six pack, right?" And maybe I had one answer which talked about maybe confidence, right? But that was quite interesting. I was like, is that all you think there is to fitness? He goes like, oh, Richie,
Yeah.
I don't understand the benefits of fitness, but I don't have time for
Right.
fitness. I need to
Right.
put food on the table. Right. I said, that
Yeah.
is quite
Oh, that's a
interesting.
very powerful one. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I said, that is quite interesting because I think in my case, if you were fit in body, you'd put more food on the table. Guess what? Why? Because we get paid what? For value we bring to the marketplace. And according to studies have shown that when you work out, you exercise, you're 20% more productive. So that's up your productivity. We can talk about, I know because I'm in the bankings as you guys, it can be very stressful. And when you're stressed, guess what? Cortisol levels are elevated. And what do you need to counter that? You need things like serotonin and dopamine to counter that. And when you exercise, guess what? Those are kind of natural stuff you get, right?
Yes.
Then we can talk about BDNF. BDNF is drive neurogenesis, which is the reproduction of brain cells. Studies have shown that when you exercise, BDNF can be enhanced as much as threefold. So the question I pose back to them is like, now with just these three things I pointed out, do you still think exercise and fitness is a necessity or just an option? I go like, oh, I actually get to think about it now. I think that is a necessity. So that prompted me. It was from that was the genesis of the book. I was like,
Mm.
I think people need to be a lot more educated on what the part fitness plays, because for the most part, a lot of people look at fitness just for the aesthetics, like in a case
Yes.
six pack, but it goes way beyond that. Especially if you're in a demanding career, you're a founder, you're a business owner, you need fitness to show up at your best. And that's all about being in that. We're talking about being an operator. That's the reason energy is at the core of it. So body and band connection. Yes, in my case, because I'm an accountant, I related that to, yes, how fitness
Will
enhances,
drive the bottom line.
yeah, because we talk about productivity, right? Is enhanced
Mm.
20%.
Right.
And when and what value you bring to the marketplace, you get paid for value you bring to the marketplace. So when
Yes.
you're more productive, you're likely going to get paid a lot more for what you bring to the marketplace, right? But having said that, it goes way beyond that. Whatever whatever bank you're looking to fill, be it yes, your literal bank account, like in the case of a bank account, but it could also be your energy bank account, your productivity bank account. It all starts with our bodies.
Mm,
That is the genesis of it. So body and band connection, and the book is all based on the science and just brings in the science and how those things tie in, how our bodies would drive whatever bank we're looking to fill, be it fulfillment bank account, energy bank account, our literal bank account. So yes, it can be in a literal sense or as a metaphor.
It's so easy. It's out there, but this
Yes,
is often overlooked by people
totally.
because it is more important, imperative for us to put food on the table rather than I need to. Oh, okay, wait. The narrative. I need to spend at least 45 minutes in the gym, but then I'm gonna have to change. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do that. Those are the narratives that people have. And once they get, okay, I guess what I'm trying to say here, what about mindset, Richie? Because I think mindset plays a big role in how you move throughout the day and how you basically dictates your life, right? Your thoughts generate your feelings, your action changes your habits, and your habits form your lives.
Totally.
Talk to us about mindset.
Mindset is the key point. Like if you look even my book, the very first two chapters are all about mindset. We have to go reason and resolve, which are all mindset based. So even when I was coaching the fitness side, or even talk about an operator's edge as well, that's the reason we start all with mindset, right? Because change without I talk about reason. It's about
Mm,
clarity of reason why you want to make that shift. So before I can even show my clients how to do a deadlift or a push up, or in the case of nutrition plan, it's all about the mindset. So you're clear. You want to make that shift as to the reason why you want to make that change. Because they say change without reason is not real change. So yeah, so mindset is a key perspective in a lot of things. For the most part, a lot of stuff we have is limiting beliefs that we create on our mind, right? It's all about how is it we can get rid of that junk, that garbage, and redefine ourselves and change that identity that yes, I'm a fit person. I eat healthy. I eat this. It's all about changing that identity that this is who I am right now. And for the most part, those limiting beliefs are things like, right, okay, I need to spend an hour in the gym. No, you don't need an hour in the gym, right? You just need, you can do 10 minutes. Most of my workouts for my clients don't last more than 20 minutes because these are busy people, right? So again, it's a knowledge aspect of it. And we create these barriers, we create these reasons in our minds why we cannot go about going after a purpose, right? But so mindset is a key aspect for everything that, in my coaching aspect, it's all about how we can entangle that.
into
We
everything
entangle that
else.
first, that's when strategies and everything comes after.
It's easier said than done until it's easier done than said.
Totally.
Just
I love that.
just take that that one step, one foot forward. So, Richie, so say somebody is interested with your programs or your book, say they want to sign up, how would you take them through your experience with you, working with
Right. I think for me, it's always about see how I can add value in that shift. I'm very particular in people I work with for the most part. We always have a conversation first
you? Mm,
to see whether the goals are actually aligned. Then we take it from there. So how it works for me is, yes, we have that initial chat and I speak to everyone. Talk about people that come into my programs it with the mastermind because I think it's all about uplifting each other, especially for Operator's Edge, because it's all about how is it that everybody can uplift each other. It's a collective.
yes.
So you want to have everybody that are willing and ready to bring in that energy and grow together and operate at your best, because it's all about being operators, right? So it's all about, yes, are you ready to actually make that shift, that identity shift, and be an operator?
Mm.
Yeah, then that is a starting point. Then we take it from there. Yeah, but it's a very, very straightforward thing. Is, yeah, we have a chat and see if it's the right fit. Then we take it from there.
Awesome. I'll be sure to include all of this in the show notes. So Richie, what is the most memorable moment for you, or at least a few moments when you help that has stuck with you when you help a client or clients so far?
Well, there are actually plenty I can think of. Right. Let me see if I can think of quite a recent one, because there's been so many memorable times, and that's what actually has actually made me shift from corporate to sort of like
Full time.
working with people, because you can't put a value on seeing that smile on the face
Yes, that's
that
right.
I'm now feel my health, my energy is just, you know off you know off the roof. My relationships are blossoming right now. I can spend time, and my kids actually feel that I'm actually being present. I can close my laptop at 4 p.m. and
Not
get off
feeling guilty.
without
Got
feeling.
all my job done.
Absolutely. So yeah, there is plenty. I think one I can talk about, I think, is just one I just mentioned earlier, of one of my clients that I think clarity of vision. Yeah, she was doing great, because on paper, like, you look at her like she's a success. But I think her vision was not really aligned to what she really wanted. It was
Mm.
based on extrinsic vision, which was her father's view of what he wanted out of her life. Even though he was actually passed, he had been passed 10 years, she was still in that particular sort of area. So talk about reworking that and getting down to the bottom of actually what she wants to achieve. And it was just amazing. And the beauty about that is how it just happened so quickly. The shift within a space of less than a month. But
Wow.
yeah, absolutely. Because this was more about mindset
That's
and
right.
having clarity of that vision, right? It's not
Exactly.
like a physicality kind of thing.
Mm.
Where, yes, in the case with fitness, at times it might take you looking at maybe like 12 weeks or 3 months, whatever, to sort of like see those kind of visual kind of results.
Definition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definition, exactly. But I think with this just happened so quickly in just how her energy levels and everything, and her execution was just so laser focused. Her revenue was just sort of like spiked in just a simple
Once she understood that she's no longer tied to the father and it was not her vision, it was, I would say, her father that passed, but that was the vision at least. And she has full and complete control of her life now and how she wants to run her life now. And that practically changed everything. And it changed the trajectory of her, I guess, her business, right? So
absolutely, areas.
that's why I always think, yeah, it is interconnected, but mindset plays a very big role when you want to enact a change in everything. So
Oh,
thank you for that, Richie. All right. So what is interesting right now for you? What are you working on currently?
yeah, right now I think it's just Operator's Edge. I think I'm very excited about it. Just expanding that on. I'm expanding that quite a bit. I've also got CTG, which is more on the corporate. That's been quite exciting as well. Trying to work with corporates and how you can give clarity, because most corporates, having worked on projects, there is lack of that growth roadmap, and the struggle in being able to articulate the vision they're trying to
Mm,
create, top down. So you find at the bottom, they're just sort of like being told what to do, but that's not being articulated. And also then having that clarity of the confidence in how they can actually be able to achieve that. So that's what I've actually been. That's why I lock with CTG, and that's quite exciting. That's a new project I've been working on. Yeah, and also writing. There's a new book coming up, which I'm co-authoring as well, which is quite exciting project. So can't wait for that to come out.
Brilliant. Okay, we are going to pivot to a self worth question. So, the question that I have chosen for you today is: many people struggle with feelings of inadequacy despite their achievements. What advice would you give to someone experiencing imposter syndrome in a high pressure environment?
Wow, that's a good one because imposter syndrome is so real. We all face it one way or the
Yeah.
other. It's all
Yes.
about, I've got a book that says feel the fear and do it anyway, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we are all imposters at one point or the other when we're just starting out. It's all about
It's
just,
a good one.
yeah, it's all about just being able to, because the thing about it is we always look at, we want to have the confidence off the gate, say, especially when we're going into something new. But confidence doesn't come off the gate. And that's the reason people don't get started.
Yeah.
People don't get started because they want to have the confidence up front. But what I teach is what I call the three C's, right? In getting that confidence so you can actually read of that imposter syndrome. The first
Mm,
part is just having that courage. Because once you got that vision, you're clear on that vision. That's the reason having a vision is actually very, very important.
mm,
Because if you've got that vision, you're very clear on that, and you feel strongly that that vision can actually help somebody,
mm.
right? It's unforgivable that you're not able to share that vision and try and bring it to the world. As they say, like the richest place in this world is not, it's not the gold mine, it's not the diamond mines, it's a graveyard, right? All those ideas, graveyard,
Yes,
absolutely.
that, yes, yes,
Those
yes.
ideas
They
that
died.
people
Yeah.
die with never really bring to fruition. So yeah, so it's very, so it's having clarity of that vision, be able to articulate it and just bring it out to the fold. So that's the reason you have to take courage, right? Take courage. That's the first step. That's the first C, right? Then the next step is building the capability, right? Oh, sorry, you commit. So you commit. So the next second C is committing.
Mm,
Because once you go to carriage, you have to commit. Talk about consistency earlier. You have to commit to this is what I want to do because you get smacked in the face,
for sure.
especially when it's something new. Then the last C is now then once you commit, you find you build up the capabilities, you become more comfortable. It's like driving, right? You start off driving initially, like in my case, I learned on stick shift. What happens? You have to concentrate on the road, you have to change, you have to have the pedals going, right? It can be quite confusing to start off with.
Yes.
After a while, you now drive, you don't even think about it, right? You can even have a drink whilst making a gear shift and all that, right?
Yes.
And constantly and having a chat. So
Mm,
it's the same thing. Now, once you build up the capabilities, guess what? Then confidence just comes naturally. So confidence does not come off the gate. So I would say if you feel you have that imposter syndrome, is apply the three C's. One, just dive in there because if you got your vision is actually very clear, right? It's unforgivable that you're not able to share that vision to the world. So just have the courage to dive in there. The second C is commit because it won't be easy. The thing about it is an idea, mind sees what I cannot see. So the vision will be in your mind, and at times it will be hard to be able to articulate. You might find you're the only one who believes in that vision because people see it with eyes, and you find for the most part that idea has not come to fruition yet. So it's all about
yes.
you staying the course. It's about committing and persisting. As Ogmandino would say, I'll persist till I succeed, right? So commit. Then the last C is then you build the capabilities because once you commit, you will build the capabilities. You get better. Then confidence will come.
I love that. I'm gonna, I just started, because I've been speaking to a lot of people and I love it. But the next hurdle for me is to create actually my own content. I've got contents with me talking to people, but now it's me delivering, value or my key insights as to what I take away from each of these guests. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to speak in front of camera without having a back and forth discussion with somebody. It's like so it's today even I started, I think I've been trying at least a week now to just record myself and then see, okay, started off with stories and now after this it's going to be on Reel. So, yeah. courage, having that vision, committing, because I know I'm not perfect, right? And I mean, you cannot compare yourself to influencers out there who've done, you know, since at least few years or a few months. So it's only a matter of time, and you'll build the capability, and then it'll be just like driving. So
Absolutely.
I'm waiting for that day for me.
Absolutely. 'Cause yeah, if you go back and look at those influencers you might be talking about, looking at their first videos, you go like, "Whoa, okay, look
Well,
at where they come from
whoa,
and
yeah,
where they are right now."
they actually
Because
come a long way.
yeah, but it's because they're just committed, right? It's
That's
committing and
right.
persisting and keep on going at it.
That's right.
Because yeah, at first it will feel awkward, it will feel
Oh my
weird,
God, so
but then
awkward.
absolutely, but then it's once you commit, you keep on putting in those reps. It's like building muscle, right? You know, you just have to go. You get those DOMs as we call it, right? In the case of like aches, so it is fine, but that's how muscle grows, right?
Yes.
So it's in the case of like at first it gets messy. You can't bake a cake without making the kitchen messy.
Yeah.
And so it's all about accepting that first it will be messy, then look at the cake that comes out after you've actually done. It would be so beautiful.
Yes. I like that. That was a quote from Robin Sharma. I like that.
Oh,
It's
really?
messy in the beginning, yeah, and difficult
Yes, yes, yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle and beautiful at the end. Yes. Yes, it was like that. Okay, Richie. So what is your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish.
Yes.
Right now, I think it's for me to be able to. I think operator's edge. I think I'm very passionate about it. I think this is how is it that I can touch and help as many people as I can in becoming operators. I think that is my wish right now. It's all about ideas and how I can reach more people. The more operators we can have in this world, what a just a beautiful world I think it will be, because there is so much. I think what was not so spoken of enough. We talked about mental health and the like. There is so much very stressful and burnout is real. But how is it that you can actually operate without sacrifice? Sacrificing your health, sacrificing your relationships, right?
Thank you.
Sacrificing your wealth. You see, so all those kind of areas. How is it that we can have a full spectrum? And that's where I want to get to, and that's something I work on a daily basis as well. So we can create that
Raising
of operators.
the raising the energy and the consciousness of the collective, one person, one day at a time.
Absolutely, we make a world of operators.
Yes. Yes. All right, Richie. If you could leave a quote. No, sorry. If you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it?
Well, I've got actually so many quotes that I've actually written. Actually, some even in my book itself. It's very hard to pick one. Which one is my favorite? Which one is my favorite? That's a good one. That's the thing about it. When you've got so many quotes that are actually written, it's so hard to think about which one I can actually just pick out the air. Maybe I'll quote James Allen's quote because I love it so much. It says you cannot move within and stand still without.
You cannot move within and stand still without. As within, so without. Okay, can you explain
Yeah,
that
so
to a layman,
absolutely. So
a
James Allen is
layperson?
all about yeah, absolutely. Our thinking, because at times we talk about mindset, right? Because it's
Yes.
all about limiting beliefs we have in our minds. So
Mm-hmm.
what sort of limiting beliefs do we have? Because if we grow in our mind, in that case, our thinking, we uplevel our thinking, right? That will translate in actually what we do on the outside. We need to first change our thinking because it's our thinking that drives our execution, what we do, our actions. So thinking first, that drives our actions. So you cannot move within if, say, you have leveled your thinking, right? The outside is just an effect, right?
Your
So
inner
yeah,
reality is just a reflection of your outer reality.
totally, totally.
Reach mic drop. All right, Richie. Where can people reach out to you? How can they find you?
The best way is LinkedIn. I'm posting pretty much on a daily on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the best platform to reach me, and I pretty much respond to every message. Another one is X. I do post on X as well on a daily as well, pretty much a few times. But at times I just have ideas. I just put them out on X. But yeah, but LinkedIn is my main one.
Awesome. So before we wrap this interview up, any last message to our listeners?
I would just say go and be that operator, right? Go be that operator. And it's all about upgrading the operator behind the business, because the tools that you might have would just be levers. We tend to focus too much on the hacks, the strategies, and all that. But let's operate the operator that sort of like drives those tools. Then those would just be levers.
Beautiful. Well, that is a wrap on today's inspiring episode with Ritchie Nkana. Richie, thank you for the work that you do, for continuing to uplift the world around you and the community around you. For our listeners, this has been Your Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you've ever felt worthless, remember you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Richie, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nierras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember, you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Richie, for your time.
Appreciate it, Nicolette. Thank you.
Thank you. Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to @holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.denierras.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul path. And if you're also wanting to check on your energetic alignment, I have done that too. And I offer that kind of services. So, my question to you is, are you ready? Because I am. Let's create your together. Good afternoon to you, Richie. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. It's quite nice and warm out here in London, England. So
I
can't
heard.
be any.
I have a friend. He's been enticing me because I've never visited Europe. I visited the States, but not Europe just yet. So he's like, "Oh, we got to change that." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm trying
You
to
really need to
find.
come.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the reasons to visit London, but you're the second person who's actually said, good things about London. So, Richie, I'd like to introduce myself to you formally. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, today we're going to talk about the correlation between the body, the mind, and the bank. Now, I have a question myself when I read your profile. I mean, what's it all about? So, if you'd allow me, I'd like to introduce you to all of our listeners first, and then we can get right into a conversation.
Awesome.
All right. So, hello, everyone. We have Ritchie Nkana here with us. Richie is the award-winning author of Body and Bank Connection, founder of The Operator's Edge, and a high-demand speaker known for bridging peak performance with sustainable success. Now, a former CA, I can resonate, with over 20 years of experience leading transformation in the banking industry. Richie now empowers high-achieving founders, executives, and professionals to scale without burnout. With certifications in personal training, sport nutrition, metabolic conditioning, and pain-free performance, Richie brings a rare blend of boardroom insight and performance science. His work helps leaders optimize physical vitality as a level for business growth, longevity, and legacy. Welcome to the show, Richie.
Thank you very much.